All right. Good evening, everyone, and a very, very warm welcome to yet another session for PMOGA India Community Hub, uh, managed by PMOGA India Community Hub. There is a PMO Insights session which will talk about. There is a discussion on the simulating managing a project. So this itself is a new title in itself, and this was very encouraging and exciting to see that such a title come up to us. I was very eager myself, and I had to Google actually that what does it mean. But talking about Daniel and talking about this title in itself will give us more insights when we go forward in this session. So this is about the insights to the session, and we'll start about the agenda. We'll talk about the key updates of PMOGA India Hub, what we did from October to November. Then we'll move ahead with the session. I'll hand over to Daniel for talking about this session. Then we'll take the question and answer round, and then we'll take the feedback for this session, closing with the volunteer of the month and the speaker of the month. This one is the key updates for PMOG India Hub sector since October to November 2021. I'll request Gaurang to give us these key updates and then we'll move forward.
All right, thank you, Isha. Okay, so PMO India Hub conducts a lot of activities, and basically this year we have also started the PMO India Awards. So the first update is on the PMO India Awards. We had many participants or nominations for the awards coming in to us. It's an really exciting and an overwhelming nominations which we have got. So we really feel that the first year of our awards, and there's so much that PMOs and PMO professionals are getting connected with us. They are nominating their own selves, where they would try to show their journey and learn from each other. The nomination is still open. That's going to be closed by 15th of December, and the evaluation starts from December to January for all of the approved nominees who are going to go ahead on the competition, and we are going to declare the final winners in February 2021. The winners of PMO of the year and the PMO leader of the year would directly be nominated for the global awards. So they would directly be going forward in the global awards, which is going to happen in April 2022. So that was about awards. Coming down to another great project which we have started is we are starting a new podcast series. Now that podcast would, it would be theme based, or it would be different topics which would come up on the podcast, and we would host about a 15-20 minutes of a podcast, say at regular intervals. So that's something new which we have kicked off from this month. The other is PMO Insights, which is the sessions where we invite the thought leaders and have them give a session and share their learnings and their knowledge with the community. And the last one which I want to talk about is the research project. We are currently formulating an advisory panel. We are looking at the academics professor who are more into research in terms of PMO, project management, and all of those areas. And we would also have couple of thought leaders from the corporate, so that we have this advisory panel going, and then basically we kickstart that project too. So that project is going to kickstart in January 2022, and the first topic for our research would be the state of PMO in India. I'm really excited with this research, is because I think there's not much which has happened in terms of research on the state of PMO in India. It could be in bits and pieces everywhere, but India as a focus has never been happened, and we really wanted to start with that, so that at least we could share a lot of insights with the community and PMOs and PMO professionals in India. So that's about it on the key updates from my side. Back to Isha. Over to you, Isha.
Thank you so much, Gaurang. Moving on to yet a step nearer to our session, I would like to introduce the speaker of our session. Just to break the ice with our participants, just wanted to know that what does simulation means to you? Any answers with respect to project management before we start the session?
Try not to speak everyone together. We can't hear you.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Isha, you are.
All right. Okay. Anyone wants to respond to my question? What does simulation means to you? Project, real life, what does simulation means to you?
I think it means getting closer to reality, right? We keep talking about concepts, but
Yeah.
Simulation helps us get to reality. So.
Thank you, Karthikeyan. Yeah.
This is Praveen. Yeah, this is more like visualizing what we intend to do. So practically, before we really do anything, it can be like mind mapping. It can be like what you try to do. If you do it in mind level, then it's simulating at your mind level. If you want to do it at virtual level, before you want to something in physical form, then you do it at virtual. So that's what we call it as B model. So you have various simulations using B model. So it can be like software in loop, hardware in loop, vehicle in. I mean, I'm basically from automobile background, so we have this, software in loop, hardware in loop, and vehicle in loop systems. So basically the B model. So that's what I could relate to simulation. The moment you said that, it's more like visualizing something.
All right, Praveen. Thank you so much for your inputs. Any other answer or any other input to this one?
Yeah, Isha, Bhuvan here from Coimbatore and from Bosch. Am I audible?
Hi. Yes, Bhuvan, you are.
Hey, yeah, very quick. See, just like in life, even in project management, right? We cannot make all the mistakes all the time. And sometimes the mistakes may be at the wrong time and may cost us more. So simulation is a way of trying to instigate these mistakes at a time when it's convenient to us, so that we can be prepared earlier. In a rough way, I can say that.
Just to be on the Daniel. Just to be on the lighter note, it is just to be a little break the ice session is this one is simulation. I really wish how simulation could help us manage arranged marriages in India. So
that's all right. One.
We wish we have simulation for that.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to the next set is formally announcing our speaker of the day, the very versatile Daniel Zitter. Daniel is a project management mentor and a consultant at PMZone. Being a project manager, he is also the author of the book Being a Project Manager. He has helped various global clients like Amdocs, Bank of Israel Aerospace Industries with their program and project management processes. And with this session, we'll get an opportunity to learn how to enhance our team's project management skills through gamification and simulation. So looking forward to this session, and very, very warm welcome to you, Daniel Zitter. Thank you so much for joining us in this session. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can you allow me to share my screen?
Yes.
So I can share. Yeah, thank you so much. So hi, everyone. Really excited to be here with you guys all today. It's a great day, really exciting day here in Israel. We actually got some rain today. It's been winter now for, I think, 2 months, but we didn't really get any rain. And today is a rainy day, and it's just great to have that here. We're missing the rain, so that's really, really great. Exciting to be with you guys talking about this topic that I really enjoy talking about and sharing our experiences here. Just wanted to say with us, we also have Hamutal. Hamutal Weiss is my partner. Together, we wrote the book, Being a Project Manager, and we developed the game. So she's here with us in the background, and you can say hi to her later. I wanted to start out this session by telling you, how this all really started, because, I've been a project management trainer for many, many years now, and so is Hamutal. And we met about 9 years ago. And the first time we met, we started talking about our shared experiences. We were both project management trainers and practitioners. And we started talking about things that we do, and then things kind of feedback that we get from people that we teach. And the first thing that we found in common was that many people come up to us and say, hey, we had a really great session. Thank you for teaching us. Thank you for being with us. But what do I do tomorrow morning? And that kind of threw us for a loop. I mean, what do you mean, what do you do tomorrow morning? We just spent a couple of days together talking about project management, about things that you're supposed to do tomorrow morning. So what do you mean? And sometimes you can kind of brush it off and say it's the students, maybe they're not okay. But after you hear that several times, you understand, maybe it's something that you're doing. And that's how we came up with the concept of teaching what it is to be a project manager and not talk about what project management is. So we wrote the book Being a Project Managers, and people were receiving our training very, very well. And during our training, in order to make it interesting, because between you and me, project management is not the most interesting topic in the world. A lot of people can say it might be a little bit boring learning just the basics of it. So what we do in order to make it more interesting, we tell stories, right? We tell stories, we talk about case studies, things that happened to us, and that's really, that spices things up. But then we found that adding in games into our sessions is something that really picks things up. Because, just listening to somebody, not always that interesting, but when you actually do something together, then you get more involved, okay? So for example, we put together a game where just at the beginning of our training, we divide the groups, the classroom into groups, and each group they have their own project. They have to build something, okay? So they have to build a tower, and they have different material. They can buy material. They have a certain budget. They have 15 minutes to do it. They can buy extra time. I mean, there's a whole scenario around it. And after they play the game, we have a really engaged discussion about what project management is, what a project manager needs to do, and so on and so forth. So, we started incorporating games into our sessions, and we found that people really like it. And, they learn from it a lot more than they do from just listening. And then we kind of noticed that there are a lot of people that learn better from doing rather than just listening. There are people that listen and they learn that way. People that have to write during the sessions, and that's the way they learn and they understand the material. And then there are the people that need to do things. And the people that need to do things have to actually experience what we're talking about. And we were always looking for ways to help people experience, simulate, if you will, okay, what they need to do on a day-to-day life. So we were in another session. We went to a session where business owners played a board game. Okay, it was a board game for business owners, and they were playing, and during the game, they were really engaged with one another, and we learned different concepts of being a small business owner, right? And we got really excited about it. We said, hey, this is a great thing that's out there for business owners. There must be something out there for project managers to do something similar. So then we went off into the internet and we started looking for board games for project managers. We looked and we looked and we looked and we couldn't find anything, okay? Because we really wanted something to incorporate into our courses and allow people to actually train and simulate what they're going to do in real life before they have to do it. We couldn't find anything, and then we decided, you know what, maybe we'll go ahead and we'll develop the game. Now, little did we know how difficult it is to develop a game. We took a course on developing games, and then we started to understand how complex this is. But then we started developing the game. After a couple of months, we had the first initial game ready. We started playing it with friends, and then we had to fine-tune things, and we had to build things to make sure that it works well. And after, I think it was 6 iterations, we actually got to a game that we felt was really, really good. Okay, so that's the game that we have today. We still tweak it every once in a while, and we adjust things, and we add rules, or we change a little bit of the rules. But right now we have a very solid game that we've been playing with our customers for over 4 years now. So really exciting, really excited to tell you all about that. So, you have project management training out there, and most of the training is the same way it was 20 and 30 years ago. Things haven't really changed that much. And we really believe that if you use your old thinking, the same thinking, you'll probably get the same results, right? So, and we want to change that. We want to change the dynamic, make sure that people can actually get more out of what they're doing. Any questions so far? You're all on mute, but anyone want to ask anything so far? Okay, so I'm going to move on. So, when we talk about the PMZone game, we're talking about a simulation board game. And what it does, it offers the players an opportunity to face common dilemmas for a project manager's world and develop new perspectives that help improve the way they'll deal with similar dilemmas in the real world. So much like was said before we started the session, when Aisha asked you guys what simulation really means, yes, it's allowing people to do things and make mistakes before they actually go into real life and real life scenarios. So they can learn from the mistakes before they made them in the real world. And what we're looking for and what the game really gives you, it simulates real life scenarios. So I haven't shown you much about it yet. I'll show you really soon, but every project manager receives a page that has all the information about his project. And these pages can be all different, right? So one person can get a project that talks about an ERP implementation in their company. Another one could get a project that is putting together an app for one of the stores. So you have many different options of projects that you can manage. And then in this game, which is a multi-layered game, meaning that it has different layers of players coming in and playing. We don't always have only novice project managers in the room. Sometimes we have someone that's really experienced and some people that are not. So we're able through the game to help them advance each in his own level and learn things that are new for him. The game can be customized for specific projects and cases. So for instance, if I have a company come over and say, hey, Daniel, we want to play the game, but we're a construction company. Can you make the projects look like our projects? Then either we already have these ready, or we can make them with you and make it really hit the specific points that you guys want to emphasize in your projects. It encompasses, and it's really a strong thing to say, but it really encompasses all the key elements of project management within one game. Okay, it's a complex game. It's not an easy game to play or learn. Usually when we start playing the game, we have puzzled faces in the room. Like we have all the people are looking at us really, really funny for 20 minutes or half an hour until they really get it. They start getting into the game. But once they get into the game, they get really excited about it. And, you know, it's hard to get them to stop playing the game. They really want to run through it and do all the tasks and be successful within their project. It enables interaction and communication between players. One of the things that we know is the most important for project managers and PMOs is being able to communicate. And through the game, you really learn a lot about that, because you see the people that do communicate and people that don't, and you can really understand how well, how much better the people that communicate work within the game and succeed with their projects. So I talked about a little bit about how you can adjust the game. One of the questions that I get first by everyone is, who is this game for? Is it for project managers that just started? Is it just for learning project management? Is it for somebody that's been managing projects for 20 years? Can he get anything out of this game? And the answer is that everyone can get something out of the game. So even if you don't know anything about project management and you play the game, you learn a lot of the terminology around project management. You hear the terms, you hear constraint, risk, planned task, unplanned task. So you hear all these different terms, and even if I'm not explaining what they are, you see examples of them within the game. You see how a risk is written out and how we talk about a risk and what is a risk that has materialized. So through playing the game, even if you don't know that you're learning, you're actually learning these new terms and you're understanding what it means when we talk about these terms. And players can help other players. Players can really interact with other players. The instructor, which could be the PMO in the organization, right? The instructor in the game is the PMO, an experienced project manager. They can really focus the discussions and the game on certain things that are important in their organization. And I'll give you examples as we go along. So when you play this game, you'll be able to learn basic concepts and key project management challenges. You can acquire and improve project management skills. And when I talk about skills, I'm not only talking about technical skills, we're also talking about soft skills, so we understand and know what kind of soft skills we need as project managers. We can develop goal-oriented thinking, which is one of the things that we talk about in the post-game discussion. We really want to make sure if people understand why they were doing their project and how. So different things that you can learn during the game. But the most important thing, and the thing that really gives, I think, the most value out of these whole sessions of playing the game are the discussions after the game. So you play the game, it's a lot of fun, you get into it, you learn a lot of things, you know, while you're playing. But the place that I feel that we really get the most is in the post-game discussion. Because when you talk about things after the game, you can talk about things that people don't take personally. You know what I'm saying? Because when you talk about somebody, when you talk about his project, he's you know, he or she is always defensive. Like, no, everything is fine in my project. We did everything okay. We didn't make any mistakes, right? But if we talk about things that they've done in the game, that's okay. You can make mistakes in the game, right? It's not something that I'm measured upon. So it's really interesting to see that discussions can be much more open when you talk about a game rather than talk about things that happen in their project. I don't know if you heard of this, but you have a lot of people that go to doctors and say, I don't have a problem, but my friend, he has a problem, right? So you can use the game as your friend. In the game, I found that I had problems with the planning. We didn't spend enough time on the planning. What do you think? How can we do this in a better way, right? So those are things that we can use the game for. And we can be really creative and relate the game, as I said, to real life examples and things that happen in our organization in order to learn more and better about these things. Okay, any questions so far?
Daniel, this is
Okay.
Gaurav.
Mhm.
Sorry, yeah. Isha, you were saying something?
No, Gaurav, please carry on.
Yeah. So as far as the adjustment of the difficulty level of the game, so it may be a scenario that the capability of a PM would decide the difficulty level of the game. So my question is, how do we normalize the results? There could be difference in the capability levels of two project managers.
So remember that in the room, we're going to have people that are very advanced and people that are not very advanced. And the way we can moderate things is that every project manager will manage his own project, but we'll also see how others manage their project. And through the experience of others and yourself, you can learn things. You can understand what things have been done better by someone else, and you can learn how to do that on your own. But also, as the instructor, if you're the PMO in the room, you're instructing this, you can help people focus on certain things that you want them to learn. And others, you can focus on other things. So it doesn't have to be one group doing everything the same. Every person in the group can be focusing and learning different things in the same session. Does that answer your question, Gaurav?
Yeah, yes, definitely. And say, for example, if two project managers are trying to test their competency, say, for example, on scheduling. So how does this board game help in evaluating that competency with their experience?
So during the game, and we'll see it pretty soon, actually, one of the next slide is talking about what we do at the beginning of the game. And we plan the game. And planning is, scheduling is a small part of it. So the game only simulates a very small project. We have 18 tasks in the project. I've never managed a project that only had 18 tasks. But you see how difficult it is to schedule only these 18 tasks. And then, you learn from that how really challenging it is to do it with a project that has hundreds or thousands of tasks, right? You can understand from that. So it doesn't teach you the day-to-day of how you actually schedule. It allows you to experience it and to understand the complexity, and sometimes to understand the different options that you have when you're scheduling things. So that's the kind of experience you get out of this, okay? This game is wonderful on its own, but it's also very good as a complementary thing after you learn a specific topic, or after you have a short session about something and you want to see how people actually do it, okay? So that's the kind of thing that we have here. So I'm gonna walk you through a little bit of the
Daniel,
game.
if I could interrupt,
Sure.
I have a question. Is that okay? Can you hear me?
Sure.
Yeah, just quickly, you mentioned that the group normally that plays the game ideally needs to be more heterogeneous with the, people in the room with more experience and then with no experience also. In all your experience with the game, has it worked, or rather, have you heard feedback for it to work with students as well, who probably have no background to project management?
Have I involved people that have a lot of experience?
Yeah, with no experience, almost no experience.
Almost, yes. So we play the game a lot in colleges and universities, and many times the students that come there have absolutely no experience managing projects, and still they learn different things in the game. I'll give you an example, okay? We played a game, it was a year and a half ago, the University of Tel Aviv. We played with exchange students from the US, okay? And we had a group of 25 students playing in the room. They were all complete novice. They were kids. I mean, they were 18 years old or 19. And this is the first time that they had anything to do with a project, right? So one of the guys there, they were divided into groups, Each 6 people were around one board. And after, I don't know, half an hour of playing the game, suddenly I see that everybody around the table is playing with their phones, except for one player. And I go to that table and ask, what's happening? What are you guys doing? And everybody looks at me and they say, you see this guy, he bought all of the cheap resources on the game and we can't play anymore. We're stuck, okay? Because he's doing everything right now. And I got, I started laughing hysterically. I never thought of the option of somebody trying to do that because he wanted to win the game, right? So he wanted to be the best. He didn't think about cooperation. He didn't think about the fact that everybody was part of the same organization. Everybody's actually part of the same program, okay? But he wanted to win, so he bought all the resources. So even in a situation like this, you can learn a lot from what happened, right? You can talk about cooperation. You can talk about the goals of the program. What does it mean to be successful in a project? Does it mean that only your project succeeds, or does it mean that also other projects need to succeed within my organization? So yes, also for novice, this is a really great game because you can learn a lot of the concepts very nicely and very fast.
Thanks, Daniel. That's clear. Thank you so much.
No problem. So this is what the board looks like. When we start playing, we have 6 people around the board. Every 2 people simulate one project manager. So we found that if you play with someone and you can discuss things, while playing, it gives you more motivation, you can learn more about it. So that's how we play. So we have 3 projects with 6 project managers, and they're all part of one program. Here on the left, we have all of the resources that we put together. We have cheap resources and we have expensive resources. Here we have all the money, and we have the pawns start here on the left side, and they start walking, through the different through the course of things, and then they land on the different objects here on the table. And we have different things. So this marks a gate. So when people come to a gate or they pass it, they have to go through a gate control. They have to make sure that they have enough earned value, they have enough money, they've done all the tasks that have to be done before the gate, okay? And they get additional resources because they've passed the gate, okay? Another token we have here is the milestone. So when you reach a milestone, you can do a lot of other unplanned tasks, or the planned tasks that you have there. You'll get resources, okay? So you move on, you know how to move on, and you have more money and more resources to do things. All of these green, white tasks here are the planned tasks. You'll see the page soon, and you'll see the 18 tasks that you can plan the sequence of. So when you land on one of these, you do one of the tasks that are on your project plan, okay? When you land on these are unplanned, these are unknown tasks, or tasks that you haven't planned. So when you land on them, you pick up a card. You have a card here that says tasks, and you can actually go ahead and perform the task at hand. These are constraints. When you fall on a constraint, you have to follow the instructions of the card of the constraints. These are the risks. Again, you don't want to hit risks usually, but if they do materialize, you have to deal with them and do whatever it says on the card there. And that's basically, the whole thing that we have on the board here. You'll notice that here in the middle, you have a place for additional cards. These are special action cards. They actually deal with more the soft skills of a project manager. When you get to a gate, you pick up one of these cards and you have to do something that talks about leadership or motivating people to do something. We have tasks there that are more fun, like you have to sing a song together. And if everybody sings a song together, then everybody gets so-and-so resources. But when you think about it, why we put these fun tasks in there, that really simulates the the skills that project managers need to motivate people, to lead them, and help them do things that maybe they're not very comfortable with. You know, standing in the middle of the room and dancing is something that's hard to persuade others. So it doesn't always go very smoothly, but that's the kind of things that we want to talk about later on in the discussion. You know, these are things that you asked for, and these are things that have been done. Okay, so talked a little bit about the game. I'm not going to dive into all the instructions and what you have to do. That's not the point of the session today. But as I said, the game is not an easy game. It's pretty complex. It takes about 20 minutes to half an hour to get into it. But again, once you get into it, it's really exciting to see. People are just really involved. They're playing with a lot of emotion and a lot of oomph there. So it's a lot of fun to see. So Gaurav, this is to what you asked about. This is planning the project. So you start by planning your project. How can you plan your project? Basically, you have many things you need to take into consideration. This is a page that you get when you start managing your project. So every project manager will get a page. These are all tasks, okay? On the left side of the task, I'll show you here, it's easier to see. You have one thing that you can do. For instance, you have technical specifications. It will cost you 3 regular resources, 1 senior resource, and you won't have to use any executive resources. It will cost you $200 to do this, and you'll earn 1,400 earned value or diamonds, okay? And then you have an option of either doing that, or in some, you see here in some of the tasks, you can choose to do another task that's different. It costs less. It will move you forward either more or less steps on the board. You'll earn less or more earned value. And basically, when you plan this, it's not an easy thing because you have to decide what you want to do in every task. You have to decide the order of things, and everything has to be based on the progress that you get and how this will help you move on the board. For instance, if you're moving 3 steps forward, 1, 2, 3, you land on a risk. And sometimes you don't want to land on a risk, right? So you have to plan everything out, understanding what are the tasks that you have to finish before the first gate. You'll see here, we have different things that are written under the task, like execute before the second gate. So you have to take into consideration many of these predecessors and the different things that you have before you actually do the planning. So it's not an easy task to plan this. Some people look at this and they say, hey, we'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and just do it that way. But when they start playing, they understand that, hey, maybe we didn't really plan it correctly. And maybe we're not doing things according with our goal, because every project, not only does it receive the task, but it also receives very specific goals for your project. So for instance, you can have a project that the goal is to go to market as soon as possible. We're not emphasizing the earned value that we get. We're not emphasizing the cost, but we want to get there as soon as we can. Time to market, right? And then you have other projects that cost is everything. They don't mind being a little bit late, but they want to be very focused on the cost, because it could be, if they spend too much money, the project will not be successful in any way. So you have to really understand what your goal is, and you have to decide and plan according to your goal, much like real life, right? That's something that you have to emphasize and you have to do when you're managing a project. This is just another example of all the milestones that you reach and all the rewards you get once you pass that milestone. When you get to a gate, you have to make sure that you have enough earned value in order to move forward. If you have a certain amount of earned value, you get more rewards, or you have to, if you don't have, enough earned value, you might have to cancel your project. Okay, so there are different things that could happen here. Not going into all the details of everything. but really interesting and really brings people to life when they're doing this. I talked about the currencies, you have the different resources, you have the money that you use that you can buy things. And I talked about the special action cards. So I'm not going to do that again. So how does the game go about? So you start out by, if I'm the team that's playing first, so me and the other project manager, we start by going one step forward. And after we planned everything that we want to do, we start playing. You move forward and you play until you can't play anymore, meaning that you don't have any steps to advance. And then you stop, and then another team needs to start playing their project. But while they're playing, you have to multitask because you want to listen and know what they're doing. On the other hand, many times you want to replan things. You want to talk to your partner and see maybe what you planned initially isn't very good, or you made a mistake and now you want to change things. So you want to use this time to replan things. But you also have to plan ahead and make sure that you have all the resources that you'll need for your next turn. Okay, so there are many things you have to do while you're waiting, while your turn is not on. So it's really interesting to see the dynamic. You have people that listen more to their friends. You have people that spend a lot of their time on replanning. They don't know what's going on the board. So it's really interesting to see. And that's one of the things that, you know, we as project managers need to know where to put our attention and see what we're doing. And then there's a way to track everything that we're doing. So much like project managers have a project log and they talk about things that they've done, here we also encourage people to log everything that they're doing in order to be able to do lesson learn sessions at the end and understand what they did correctly, what they might have done differently in order to succeed better in their project according to their goals. So just a way for you to track everything and to see. So after we do all that, we're ready to go ahead and play. And I want to show you real quick, I'm going to try this with a video, what a session really looks like, okay? So I'm going to run a video of a session so you guys can get an experience of what this looks like. I hope this will work and you'll be able to see this well. This is the part where we teach people how to play the game. After that, we go ahead and we talk with all the project managers, answer their questions, and allow them to start the game themselves. These are the project pages and the log, the money on the board, and all the different cards that you have there. You can see throughout the session that people are continuing to play, and while playing, they're also replanning things just because they understood different things that they didn't understand initially. They're paying the resources, the money, and then they can do their tasks. So for whomever wants to really see more about that, you can reach our this video on PMZone.com. So if you go to PMZone.com, you'll be able to watch the video fully. And then if you have more questions, you're free to ask. Wanted to tell you a little bit about things that are coming soon. So this is the one game that we're actually playing with customers, and we're getting really great feedback. We're playing it with customers around the world. We now have a group in Scotland, the university in Scotland, that bought the game. We have representatives in Australia that are selling the game and having sessions there. So really exciting times for us. And while we're doing that, we have a goal. Every year we have to come out with something new. So the first year we came out with the book, and then the second year we translated the book into English. We came out with, anyway, every year we have something. So we had this game, this board game was a couple of years ago. And then a year ago, we developed an agile project management board game, which I haven't talked about today, but it's a very exciting game. It's not as complex as our game. It's easier to learn and play. You can learn a lot of the agile practices and ceremonies through this game. We're still at the point where we're making it a little bit more accurate and final. So we are playing it with our customers, but we haven't allowed others to play it with their customers yet. We're still making sure everything is tweaked and going well. We're expecting this to be done by February this year, so we can actually go ahead and play this with others. And then, which is really exciting, we're now working on a digital version of our game. So this is actually in alpha right now. We have the game up and running for a single player, meaning you as a project manager can go to the website, obviously if you're part of a course or if you've purchased the game, and you can simulate the project and managing the project through the game, and planning your tasks and deciding what you want to do. And this is actually going to be coming out in the initial version, which is the single player version, by the end of the year. And then hopefully by April of 2022, we'll have the multiplayer game where you can play with teams from all around the world together. I went to different companies and I offered them to play the board game, and they said, how can we play the game? We have people from India, we have people from the US, we have people from Israel. How can we do this? So driven by that input and by the input of COVID, of not being able to meet together in one room with people, so we decided to go ahead and develop this board game. And as I said, hopefully we'll have the first version by the end of this year. So that's really exciting for us. I wanted to, kind of summarize before we take some more questions and talk about what I would expect or encourage you guys to do after our session today. So first of all, if you agree with what I was saying about games and about how much of a learning experience it could be, then maybe you want to go ahead and develop your own game. It doesn't have to be a very complex game or a board game. It could be just a small task or a small activity that you do within your team that has a point, that you're trying to emphasize something through the game. You want to teach a certain concept that is very visible and viable when you play the game, and then you hold a discussion around it and not just talk about things, because just talking about things is not always that exciting, right? So having examples and actually doing things is more exciting. And if you want, we'd love for you guys to use our game in your organizations. So if you're interested in that, you can reach out to me, and you don't need us to come over and play the game with your team. You can buy the game yourself. We'll train you on how to play this game with your teams, okay? And then you'll be able to play it multiple times. It's not just for one-time use. This game can be played with the same players many, many times. About the third time you play the game, you can introduce the PMO into a board. So you have a project management officer for the program, and when he's introduced into the game, he has special things that he can do to help the project managers. He can help them emphasize different things. He can talk to them about communication during the game. So there are a lot of different things that he can do there. And that's really exciting to see when we go to that level and we play with the PMO in the game as well. The other thing you're really encouraged to do I really love talking about these subjects, okay? I enjoy it. So feel free to contact me, talk to me about project management, the PMO Global Alliance, the Value Ring, our games that you guys want to develop, anything that has to do with project management. I'm game. I love talking about things. I love sharing ideas. I love doing research about things that are going on here. So just, feel free to reach out to me. This is my phone number if you want to use it to connect to me in WhatsApp. And you have my email here. Obviously, you have all that information also on LinkedIn. If there's anyone on this call today or that's going to be viewing this and wants to connect on LinkedIn, feel free to do so. And then maybe we can link up and talk about different topics. I'll be very happy to do that and share. Any other questions or things that you want to know about?
Yeah, a great perspective. This is Praveen again. Towards the end, I think it has completely transformed into what we were just pursuing what we started in the beginning. I think the board games are something like, yes, it's hands-on, and I mean it triggers, but then the online definitely it makes a lot of sense in terms of getting the global community into picture, and then it becomes a powerful tool in terms of coaching, is what I believe. Basically, again, you get different levels of project managers or the PMO leaders into the action. So it becomes even people who are already into PMO to learn better, and then to understand, and then it by itself becomes an active platform to participate and then learn. Rather than in communities, we try to ask questions and then try to get the answers back. Here it is more like an interactive live session. You experiment, you feel yourself, and then you also get coaching from the seniors. I think this is a quite intuitive tool. I think if something like this is going to be on, it'll make a lot of sense for all the people who are trying to enter the PMO community. It's going to be quite useful for them. They're a great initiative. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we find that people really enjoy the fact that they're active and they have to do things within the session, and not only answer questions, but they actually are working on things. So yeah, that's really exciting. Any other
All right,
questions?
so
Comments?
yeah. Anybody else wants to share any thoughts or questions before we move on to the feedback session?
Isha, there's one question left, I guess. Okay, I'll read out that, Daniel, for you. Does this board game also helps in proactively identifying the risks and dependencies between tasks, as there are predecessors mentioned on the sheet which you had opened up?
So definitely, it puts an emphasis on this kind of thing. So something I haven't talked about, but you also sometimes you have predecessors that are from a different project, right? We're all one of the same program, but what we also have here is predecessors from other projects. So yes, it makes you look at things and understand that sometimes you're dependent not only on things within your project, which is cumbersome enough, right? But many times we also have to look at other projects and see how we're dependent on them. So yeah, definitely, the game helps you put a focus and zoom in onto the fact that you really have to learn how to realize what you have and what kind of predecessors you have. Yeah, definitely, that's something that you get out of the game as well. Anything else?
No, I think we covered all the questions.
That's great.
Good, Isha.
All right, let me share my screen. So we have, is my screen visible to everyone?
Yep.
Yes, Isha.
Yes.
Okay. So we have 20 seconds, each one of us. Let us do a quick feedback session and how today's session was, how I am doing mine right away with you.
So Isha, you can just type on the chat window also so that people can copy it if they want.
Yeah. Okay, so the website, it's menti.com, and you have to type the keyword 501 26051. I'm just posting it on the chat also. Gaurav, can you please help? I have a screen freeze here.
I'm just sharing it to see the results.
Yeah, please.
Wow, fresh perspective. Wonderful, insightful, interesting, informative.
All right, thank you, Gaurav. Can I please share the screen again?
Sure.
Okay, so this one is a small certificate of appreciation for Daniel. Thank you so much for being here and giving us such as insights for gamification and simulation, such a fresh concept that we have heard it for the first time. Especially, I have heard it for the first time. So this is a token of thanks from PMO India Community Hub to you for having for you to do this session for us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really had a great time, and I look forward to talking to each and every one of you at some point. So thank you again.
Thanks, Daniel. And moving on to the last segment is the volunteer of the month. I'll request Gaurang to take us through this segment.
Thank you, Isha. This is a very I think this is a very special segment for the volunteers. All of us are volunteers here, but we do appreciate volunteers in terms of where we all have been working very hard with this community to share the knowledge, to impart a lot of good learnings and things. I would announce the name at the last, but I would like to say a few words about this volunteer. And usually when there's a new community, or when there are communities, people are really excited to join the community, be volunteer and participate and do things. But a lot of the times it happens that people, they join and then they go passive. But this volunteer has been from day one being so active about helping in the community, doing a lot of great work. This person also exhibits one of the quality of servant leadership. It's like basically anything, this person would be the first to say, okay, I'm going to do it. That's really very good about this volunteer, where it felt kind of like it was like a second profession or a second work for this volunteer. So we were all thinking about saying that what could we do to appreciate this volunteer, and we got this chance of announcing this volunteer's name in this session, where we have looked at some gamification. We really loved this. And the moment, okay, the volunteer of the year, I would say year, but the volunteer of the month goes to Isha Babbar. She has been helping us very much in our PMO India Awards, and she has been quite instrumental in having good number of nominations coming to us. So thank you, Isha, so much, and keep up the
Thank
good
you.
work.
Thanks, Gaurang. 5 seconds before I got this intuition when you say that, okay, I'll do it. So till that's when I thought that there is a chance of Isha Babbar getting this volunteer of the month. So thank you so much, each one of you, especially Gaurang, giving us this opportunity. Gaurav and Karthikeyan. Karthikeyan, a special thanks to you. I know how it all started on LinkedIn with a message. And to all the community people for helping me, giving me these opportunities so that we can excel and move forward beyond our comfort zone. So this is just a start. I'm looking forward to make more new learnings with you all. So thank you to each one of you for this wonderful, wonderful journey ahead.
And I say congratulations, Isha, very well deserved. And I have been seeing the contribution from Isha and other volunteers. But I think this is how we make our community grow. And she has been very instrumental in driving the India Awards along with Gaurang, Stephanie, Padmalata, Yuvraj. So I believe this is a great example how we can collaborate and contribute. So this is our motto, and I think we are working very diligently to achieve this goal. So thank you so much, Isha, and all the volunteers who have been working relentlessly with us. And
to add
sure.
Yashita to she has also been quite instrumental in getting us on this journey of PMO Awards.
Absolutely. So congratulations to Yashita as well for helping us in this initiative. I would say the first initiative of the awards in India region for PMOs.
Yes.
Isha, anything else from your end?
We are done. Just a vote of thanks. I'll forward it to
Sure.
Gaurav and Gaurang to close this session. And my weekend is made already. So thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Wonderful audience today.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Daniel and Hamutul, for this insightful session and sparing out time on weekend. I know that it's not easy to find time, and I would like to thank all the participants along with Daniel and Hamutul who have spared time with us. And I think it will be a great learning how the project management can be simulated. And I believe we have been promoting through our various posts that how project management can be simulated and how the project managers can improve their competencies, right? And even validate where do they stand, right? So this is a great initiative to make project management effective and make the overall aspect of understanding project management easier and through gamification. So a lot of thanks to Daniel and Hamutul, and we look forward for such more insightful sessions from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
all. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.